Hi, so here's a quick tutorial on how to get this reading spreadsheet and parent sharing sheet all set up and ready to go. And then I'll show you how it's used and how you can use it for yourself at the very end. So it's not that complicated, but we just have to follow the steps in the order and make sure that we just are doing them correctly. So something just to take your time with, and it shouldn't be too hard or complicated. So this is kind of what the sheet looks like here. And we'll share this with you, and there will be another piece of text that we'll share with you that you'll need to basically do some copy and pasting so you don't have to recreate everything. So what you're going to want to do is go to sheets.google.com. And then once you're here, you're going to make sure you're on the right email address that you want to be the owner of that document. So now that I'm here, I'm going to create a new blank spreadsheet. All right, and then from here, let's go ahead and give it a name so you can find it when you're looking for it later, whether it's student reading evaluations or whatever, whatever is helpful for you in that regard. And then instead of having to do things here, all you will need to do is let's do some copy pasting. But first let's add some sheets. So we have sheet 1 down here. We're just going to click this a bunch of times all the way until you get to 21. So too far. I'm going to delete the last one. We only want 21. On this 21st one, I'm going to rename it with a capital M, master. And that's going to be our main sheet. And then the rest of them are just where the other data will go after you update every week with the students' information. So we've got the first one is master, and then the rest is up to sheet 20. And then don't change how that's spelled, the spacing, any of this stuff down here. It has to stay exactly as you see it here. So let's go back into the spreadsheet we've got shared with you. I'm just going to, if you're on a PC, Control A. Sometimes you have to hit A twice, or if you're on a Mac, Command A, and then you'll see everything's highlighted, and then Control C or Command C if you're on Mac to copy everything. And then we're going to go over to the sheet that you made. Click up there in the top corner on cell A1, and then Control V or Command C. Sorry, and I don't think we actually copied it, so let's try it again. You can even right-click copy. There it goes. All right, so we've got everything here. Perfect, all the formatting, kind of how we wanted it. Perfect. So let's try pasting once more. Let's see if it lets us paste just the format. All right, fair enough. So there we have it. Everything that you need here. So on your sheet, if you have different students, you can actually update some of these values here. So say the first student you're working with is named Susie. You can actually type her name in there just to help you keep track of it, or the next one might be Tommy, whatever. So as you get the students in, you can update their names and all that kind of stuff. The next thing we're going to need to do is from this spreadsheet here that you made with all of your extra sheets down here, we're going to go to extensions up in the menu up top here and press on apps script. So it's going to bring us to a new page. The first time it may ask you to click a checkbox to I agree and yes and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to see a page just like this. You're going to want to be on this tab here, code.js, and it starts with some text in there, and we don't want that, so we're just going to delete it. So there's a completely blank page here. And this is where the text that we'll share with you comes in. So this is the code that I wrote for you. So in that window or email, however that gets to you, do Control A or Command A to select it all, or highlight the whole thing. And we're going to copy it exactly as it is. Go back to this untitled project, and let's give it a name. This will be reading evaluations, code, whatever. So once we're here, we're going to Control V or Command V to paste that in here. And you'll notice it has some nice little coloring and stuff once it's in for your thing. So perfect. Now that we're in here, we're going to click on this little save project here. It shouldn't give you any issues. It's just checking that everything's typed correctly as it saves. So it may take just a second for it to actually go. Another step that you're going to need to do once you copy this code into your page is go back to your spreadsheet that you made. You're going to go to File, Share, Share with Others, and we're going to copy the link. I'll have that with anyone with the link can view. Go back to your app script page. And then at the very, very top, you have functions main, and then the second, it's actually the third line, I should say, right here on line 3. It'll be kind of a red highlight with a single quote on the outside. So highlight everything inside that single quote. We're going to delete it, and then that link you just copied is what you'll paste in there with Command V or Control V. And that will make sure that this code that you just set up is linked to your spreadsheet. So we'll go ahead and save there. And boom. Once we have it, you see this run debug main, all that kind of stuff lights up because it is ready to actually work. So you don't have to worry about the rest of this page here for a little bit. The next thing we're going to go to on the sidebar here, you're in the editor, drop down to triggers. And here's where we're going to do the automation where it'll automatically at a certain point in the week update this for you so that it's ready to go. So what we're going to do is add a trigger, and it should automatically keep those first two exactly what you need, main, head, and then down here what I would recommend is we're going to go to time driven. And let's do day timer okay, this is how often you're going to give that feedback to the parents. So we could do week timer, and so we've got time driven, week timer, and then select the day of the week that you want this to kind of update to the parents. So say you put in your feedback on Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and you want them to get it Saturday morning is when you'll let the parents know it's available. So you could do Saturday morning, 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. This is when it'll update. Perfect. And then failure notification settings, switch that to notify me immediately. So looking at time driven, week timer, choose the day of the week you want it to happen, and then a time frame in here that you want it to automatically update. Then we'll click save, and it's going to pop up with this little sign-in window. So go ahead and sign in with your account like you would. It's going to say hasn't verified the app. That's okay. It's your app that hasn't verified. So you're going to show the advanced and then go to reading evaluation code. All right, and then it's going to ask the permissions here. You're going to hit allow. And once that's in there, this window should go there. Boom. We have our little timer that's going to adjust that on a specific time. So, perfect. Now that this is going to automatically fire at a specific day, specific time for you, the next thing we need to do is make sure that the parents can actually see some of the stuff. So, a little bit of how this is structured is you will come in here, and so Susie, say the strategies we learned, sounding out letters or however that looks for you, that feedback. Your goal for next week might be the letter X, and then any other comments, whatever you would type in there, just some random examples. I don't know what that is actually going to look like for you. And then you see right below the name or the student number, it says sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. And that's going to tell you whenever you set that timer, this information is going to leave this page and it's going to go over to the corresponding sheet. So Susie is sheet 1. So here is sheet 1, and it'll put all her information here. And as time goes on each week, it'll give it a timestamp so you know which week it was from, and then it'll scoot each week down as you add more. So you can always go back and scroll through previous weeks and times for that. So basically what we need to do is go back to Google Sheets, make a new blank document, and this will be Susie's parents reading sheet, whatever it is. This is the one that the parents are actually gonna see. And what we're gonna do is go back to the text that we shared with you, and you'll see in there at the very, very bottom it says, here's the code to put in the shared sheets for parents, colon. All right, and then you don't need these 2 forward slashes. You're going to start at this equal, and you're going to copy all of this stuff right there. Ignore replace the link with the link you get from the sharing page. So Control C, and you're going to put it right up here in this first cell. Boom. All right, now we need to do a couple things first here. We need to go back to your main sheet, and we're going to go to the file, share with others. All right, and so general access, only people with access can open the link. So we're going to change that to anyone with the link, and can view it. We'll copy the link. Okay, and then we're going to highlight everything inside those first quotation marks, do Control V or Command V on Mac, and there it is. Okay. Now what we want to do is go to your original sheet, and you're looking at, okay, Susie is sheet 1. So we're going to go back into here, and we're making this, looking at the second part here in the second quotations, where it says sheet 1, exclamation point, A colon B. So Susie is sheet 1, we're good. If, for example, this was the sheet for the second student, Tommy, who is sheet 2, which would be this one, we would want that to say sheet 2 right there. And that's the only number you have to change in that. So it's being a little funky, so I'm going to select it all. All right, so now that it's in there, we have, this should be working there. You can go File, Share with Others on this parent sheet here, and then you can just add people or groups. So you could type in parent email at email domain, whatever the parent's email is, you type it in there and you would return, and it would add them to it. You can notify them, send them a message, letting them know what this is. All that kind of stuff. So look at a thing. You just want to make them a viewer. They don't need to edit anything. So once you're happy with that, this is the email that they'll get. It'll have this little message in it, and then you can hit send. That's not a real email address, so I'm not actually going to send it. So basically we have that there, and this will automatically update without you having to do anything at all to it, which is great. So now that if we go back to the other one here, you kind of got an idea of how you fill out the sheets here. And then to give you an idea of what it'll look like once it actually updates through, you don't have to actually click run, but we don't want to wait until Saturday at 1 a.m. to show you what's going to happen. So this is what's going to happen when it runs, without you doing anything. We'll let it finish through here for a second. So after it's finished here, we can go back to your original sheet. And what you're going to notice is that it empties out this whole page for you so that you're ready to go for the next week. You don't have to delete anything. And you can just start adding in new comments for this week. And then if you go over to, so we had some information that we typed in for this first student. She's on sheet 1. If I go to sheet 1, we'll notice that it copied all that info over. So the row is kind of small. I'm just going to make it bigger so it's easier to read. All right, so you'll notice it copied exactly what you had written in there. Perfect. And then this other thing here is it put a little timestamp in there, so you know that the week before September 15 was when these comments were from. And then you'll see how that looks as we update it. For example, say this is the next week, and you've got the strategy for the next week that you learned and practiced, and then the next week's goal after that one. And you had some awesome comments as well. Perfect. So this was the next week, and we're going to pretend that you hit that time, Friday, Saturday, whatever you want, for it to automatically update. So we're going to let it run again once more. So I actually didn't return and save the data for that cell. That's why they didn't go. But yeah, you'll notice it cleared everything out. And then if we went over to that same sheet, you'll notice it took everything from that last example week, moved it down with the timestamp and the date, and then it took this next week's and put it right above at the top. So this is just going to take whatever time the code executes and puts it right at the top there. So this will help you know which comments are from which week, and then it'll just keep on scrolling down. As long as you use this document, you'll have a good archive of everything that you've talked about, your comments, your goals, and what you've practiced already. So then for the parents, you'll notice we haven't done anything and it's automatically updating for them. So they get to see at the top, their student's name, and then it'll show all that same information. The colors are less fancy, but totally functional and works. And they can see, the date before from when it's on, and they can look back and they'll have that same running tab all the way as far down as many weeks as you go for all those extra comments. And that way you share this spreadsheet with the parent, if you remember, by going to File, Share with Others, and they can view this document, and that's all that they can see. But then for you as the teacher, you have access to every student's information too. So even though we didn't put in comments, each one has updated the same. You can widen these out. You can rearrange the size of cells however you want to do that to make it more functional for you. The only thing that we can't do would be to go in here and shift things around, and like insert rows and things of that sort. Or if you had more than 20 students, let Melanie know, let me know, and we can figure out another solution, because it won't automatically keep going after 21 if you were to copy and add another row down here and change the stuff. So these cells wouldn't really do anything. And that's basically it. The setup takes just a few minutes, but is really just a lot of copy paste. And then after that, it has no upkeep, and you can just go ahead at your leisure, update your spreadsheet, and then the parents will get their own updated version there that they can know to check at a certain time every week or by a certain day. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let us know if you have any questions.